it's like I found out the hard way that my this Zoom account does not have cloud privileges. And I actually was trying to use this to record my digital jumpstart last week. And I was bumping right up against the deadline and I couldn't record it. And I was like, oh dear. So
you know where you can do the recording? You have to go to your settings, because I had that problem too.
Okay. I mean, I
go to your settings, you have to set the record, you have to give yourself access to record in Zoom, but it's in your
you have to do that, like you have to like get permissions from like Google Suite or like pay to upload to the cloud or something, don't you? I mean, that's what I was saying, was that it was more elaborate.
No, I can walk you through it after this if you want.
Well, it's okay, because I actually Professor offered it and docked me, which was nice. I just ended up using a different account that was a work account, and I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna use this for school. All right, so Narita, I think whenever you're ready, if you want to like give us the summary of what we read.
Do you want me? I wonder if I can share my screen now.
Sure. I mean, you can try.
How's disabled participant screen sharing?
Okay, let's try.
Here, you know what?
Try to allow to. I'll just make you the host for right now. How about that? Boom. Okay, you're the host now.
You are host now. Okay. Let me see. Nope, that's not right. There's again. Share screen. Okay, there we go. Okay. Sorry, it's asking for my authorization. Oh,
crap. Yeah, that's okay. If you want to just read it off to us, that's fine too.
That's probably best.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, can you see it by chance?
No. But if okay. But if you like, let's see. Well, if I go into like the drive, maybe I can. But if you want to just start reading, like that's fine with me.
Okay, why don't I start reading?
Okay.
So, we chapter 1 through 5, and the section was. Oh, I don't have the book with me. What's the name of the section we were reading again?
Something about the sparrows.
Yes. No, end of summer. I think it was end of summer.
Okay.
End of summer. So chapters 1 through 5. Ari wakes up in the hospital with 2 broken legs and a broken left arm. He learns from his parents that as the skidding car approached, he pushed Dante out of the way, and that Dante's been waiting in the hospital room for 36 hours since Ari came in. When Ari asks what happened to the wounded bird, his parents can't tell him, and later, when a tearful Dante visits, Ari fails to ask him to, but comments in narration on how much he wants to know what became of it. A succession of visitors follows, Ari's surgeon and Dante's parents. Ari gruffly refuses to accept any compliments. There are also several visits from Dante, who leaves behind a sketch pad for Ari to look at. Ari, however, suddenly feels a wave of intense resentment towards his friend and throws the sketch pad against the wall. Ari's mother walks in at that moment and wants to know what's going on. When Ari doesn't explain, she tells him it's not good to keep all his feelings bottled up. And he tells her that he'll talk about what's going on with him if she talks about his brother. She refuses and leaves. Meanwhile, Ari's father keeps him company more quietly, both of them reading books brought by Dante. He and Ari talk on the phone, though, and Ari makes some rules for future conversations. No talking about the accident, no gratitude, no more crying. Dante agrees. Eventually, Ari is sent home looking for birds as he goes. Chapter 6 through 11. Ari's recovery continues at home. His mother gives him sponge baths and shaves him. He and his dad read together, and Dante comes by to visit, reading aloud to Ari. Ari comments in the narration that he keeps Dante's sketchpad under the bed and doesn't look at it. At one point, Dante gets permission from Ari's mom to give him a sponge bath, and Ari agrees, keeping his eyes closed the entire time. When the bath is finished, however, he opens his eyes and finds Dante weeping. Dante leaves soon afterwards. Time passes. Ari's recovery continues. Plans are made for him to go back to school. There's still silence about his brother, and still increasing anger in Ari at his helplessness. And Dante's sketch pad remains under Ari's bed. Ari writes in his journal about how much he's looking forward to Dante leaving, but then at the end of the summer, shortly before Dante and his family are due to leave, Ari has a change of heart. One night, while Dante's visiting, he confesses that art and Ari are the only things he loves. This leaves Ari to comment that he and Dante are very different people, and when Dante asks whether Ari hates him, Ari realizes that he doesn't. A couple of days later, the day before Dante and his family go, the two families get together. While their mothers cook and their fathers talk politics, Ari confesses to Dante that he hasn't looked at the sketchbook. Dante fetches it, and they look at it together. Ari, realizing that Dante's sketches are showing him a part of himself he never really knew was there. Dante promises to write, and Ari promises to write back, although confessing in narration that he wasn't sure he would, actually would. After Dante and his family leave, it starts to rain, and Ari has an image of Dante standing in the rain, holding a bird with a broken wing. I couldn't tell if he was smiling or not. What if he'd lost his smile? At that thought, Ari finds himself holding back tears and feeling like he was the saddest boy in the universe. Summer had come and gone, and the world was ending. So I do, part of my summary page has like discussion questions, so I can just save those till the end when we're at that point.
Sure. Okay. I can also like throw some questions out if you want.
Do you want these questions or not?
Yeah, ask them.
So, first question, what do you think is the significance of Ari never finding out what happened to the wounded bird? Why do you think he's looking for birds on his way home from the hospital?
I think that's a really good question, and I'll tell you, I had a related question in my set of questions, which was it was what is the it was like describe your reactions to the motif of the injured bird. How do you think it relates to other aspects of the story? So yeah, I think we both have a question about like the injured bird situation.
I have something about the wounded bird too. Like
yeah.
And our wounded birds. Discuss the ways in which the various characters are wounded birds in this section.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting way to go with it. Yeah, I mean, I think that like maybe my reaction to him looking around for that bird and wanting to know what happened to it, and like, why did nobody tell me what happened? Like, you know, as he's on his way home, like, I see that for Ari as like a lack of closure. In like this, in like on like the surface, you know, on a basic level, it seems like there's a lack of closure, and like it's sort of like that was the whole impetus or the catalyst for the entire thing that happened. I mean, at least on a surface level, it's like he went out there because there was this injured bird, and it's like no one even followed up about what happened to it, and he's maybe getting back to like what even happened to that thing, right? And also, I would add like I do think that Ari has like a softness that he's repressing. And because he does tend to, you know, there's all this stuff about his anger, but he doesn't want to look at it, right? And not wanting to look at what's there in terms of like his issues. And it seems like that was a place to me where his softness was sneaking out a little bit. But like, but where's the bird? You know, that was my interpretation a little bit.
I think that them not telling Ari what happened to the bird is yet another thing that's kept secret from him. Another mystery in his life.
Okay.
But, you know, I do think I can see how a lot of people in this section are really living with some kind of pain and rawness. Some of it, and a lot of it is unspeakable.
Yeah. What do you guys think? I agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. So,
and then Why do you think Ari demands at this particular point in the story that his mother tell him about his brother? What is the relationship, do you think, between what he says to her and what she said to him just moments before? And I think this is the part where they're talking about, you know, you need therapy. I'll go to I'll talk about my feelings if you talk about my brother.
I feel like that's just him trying to gain some control in his life.
Like there's a part also where he says his sisters treat him like a son versus a brother, right? Like a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, I don't know, he wants to get a sense of like siblingship, if that makes sense. Like he's demanding to know a bit more about his brother, or like to find out what happened to his brother, why he's in there and all that stuff, just to get that bond. I don't know, that's what I was sensing, because like his sisters are kind of like closed off, just like how his mom and dad are.
Well,
I also feel like at this point in the story, he's starting to question his sexuality, and it kind of seems like he's finding other things to fixate his attention on. Like he's thinking more about the girl, he's thinking about the accident, he's questioning things about his brother, his father, his mother, anything he can think of to like get his mind off of how he feels towards Dante.
I think I agree with you that he's probably starting to figure out his sexuality, but I think those questions about his family are real, and you know, that's a real void to him. It's
yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
yeah,
putting more energy and more effort into answering those questions.
Yeah, it's all
as of recent, I think there's a connection between those two things.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny when he said that his sisters treated or like another mom, and he doesn't need that. That's the relationship I had with my younger sister, in that because I was 13 years older, I was like another mom to her. And it was not a healthy relationship because of that. We didn't become peers until she got married and we had something more to talk about in common.
Right.
So I kind of understand. I understand that dynamic to a certain extent.
Yeah, I had two responses to what he said to his mom. The first one was like, fair enough, right? Like I don't think it's fair that they don't allow discussion of the brother, and like I can understand why from Ari's perspective it's like, you want me to deal with my crap? Great, you deal with yours too, right? Like I think I was sort of like, okay, touche. Like if I were his mom, I would feel kind of put in my place, I think, with that.
That's a definite teen response, I think. That, you know, you're telling me what to do, and he's not wrong. I don't know that as a parent, that's something you still have to parent. You still have to.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong. There's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of unresolved issues.
Yeah, there's a lot. I guess I would say like, it's sort of like, I don't know if as parents you can ask your kid to do something that you yourself are not really willing to do or like willing to model. So it's sort of like, in that sense, it's like, that like my response at least. And like he is very like sassy about it, but I also think he is kind of being like fair. And I guess like that was like my take. But my other question, and we could still talk about like the other like idea if you want, but I did have a thought about like because we're looking at how he might be starting to question his sexuality, and like my question is, if we didn't know in advance that that was an element or a theme in this book, like how might we be reading these things? Because it hasn't been mentioned explicitly yet, and I didn't really know that that was what this book was about until like somebody mentioned it. So I'm just wondering like, how might that affect like our reading of what we're seeing? And yeah, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Well, I think with this last section where basically Dante tells them there's two things I love, art and you. I mean, if you really didn't have a sense of where this was going, then it becomes really obvious at that point. You really can't question it any longer. But I'm with you. I think for the first initial meeting, it sounded like just two young guys getting together and being friends,
Yeah.
A friendship. You're right. If it didn't have all the awards on it and everything, I might not have known until, I think this section started really clarifying that.
Yeah, I would say the same for me. Like as soon as I read that last line of like, and I love you, or I love art, and and you, that's when I was like, okay, now it's clear. I can see the clear picture. But beforehand, I was the same as you, Norita. I didn't know. I just thought it was two friends, two people that couldn't get friends, like those, students that don't know. I mean, how should I say this? That are like very social and quiet to themselves, finally finding each other, becoming good friends, and then boom, now I know.
They are very different boys, though. I mean, I get the feeling that Dante, I don't know that Dante hasn't expressed alienation with other kids that I remember, but he's definitely the kid who's more outgoing and feels comfortable talking to parents and other grown-ups. He feels like he's more comfortable in his skin. Although,
right, but
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Although because he is very emotional, there might be I think there's something also that he's keeping inside him. So he wears this mask of being happy and everything when, clearly there's something that's bothering him. Otherwise, his mother was the one who suggested that he go to therapy. He's also seeing a therapist.
I do agree with you. He doesn't have that like alienation, right, as Ari does. But there was a section I remember, don't know which chapter exactly, where he talks about kind of like how with his cousins, right? Dante's cousins, how he's like not as close to his cousins, or they don't understand him, whatever. And that's where I kind of got like, okay, maybe they do kind of have like the same type of personality, maybe just a bit.
Maybe it's hard to tell with Dante because so much of this it's first person Ari. So we're really getting a sense of what Dante's like is through Ari's eyes.
Yeah, that's true. We are only seeing it through we're only seeing Dante through Ari's eyes, and like what Ari might be seeing is like he's super outgoing and I'm not. So like
I see it in like.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm done. I've been talking a lot.
I kind of see it as like they're the same type of like they have the they have the same personality type, but it's like two different products of their environment. So like Dante had a really loving family. There's no secrets. They're very open and caring and affectionate, whereas Ari had the complete opposite. So he has a more negative outlook on life, and Dante has a more positive outlook, but they share a lot of similarities. That's what I was kind of thinking. Like they're the same person, it's just they're products of their environment. And then going back to the question about would we have known if this was about sexuality, part of what I was talking about was like text to self and like experiencing like my experiences coming out gay and like realizing my sexuality and stuff like that. And I actually see a lot of myself in Ari. Like this, just like small things he mentions, like, being distant with other boys, not being like them, being different, not being comfortable in the locker room, in the shower, stuff like that. And then just like how like tender he is with Dante, I would have like got like a vibe. Like I wouldn't have known, but like I would have gotten a vibe, I think, just because I was able to relate it to my own experiences that's coming out. So
that makes sense. And like, it's interesting how easy, and I think this is a sign that like this author is a good writer, like how easy it is to see parts of ourselves in this book. Because like, I haven't had like that experience, but like there are other experiences he's having that I'm like, well, yeah. Like,
the author is gay. I did look him up. So, yeah. And he is a good writer, but I have to wonder how much of this, is it something he experienced himself as a young man. So.
By the way, just in terms of like roles, I'll say like, you guys like share your stuff whenever like you feel that it's relevant or the spirit moves you. Like that's fine. Like with me, I guess that's my directorial stance is like, whenever you think like, oh, this has to do with the thing that I drew, then like, let us know or whatever.
Who was the artist this time?
Think, okay, yeah.
Woo!
The worst artist ever. Do you guys want to see my
Yeah. Can we make you host so you can share it, or were you able to get it on the drive?
Yeah, if you can make me host, I'll share it.
Okay. I think Narita, you gotta make her host.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing. Yeah, I can't share my screen. It's disabled.
Are you Narita, have you been able to make her the host yet?
Oh, I can. Let me see.
Yeah, if you can make Suwata the host and then she can
Oh,
try sharing.
crap. Okay. How do I do this? How do I do that? What part? Where do I go for that?
So you just go to participants.
Oh, wait a
and
minute.
then-
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and you make her.
Make host. I get it. Here we go. Okay, now you're the host. You're it.
Yay. Okay. Alrighty. Can you guys see my drawing?
Aww. Oh, dead birds. So cute.
I tried.
I love it.
It took me like 7 tries.
You did a
I
great
think my mom
job.
was like, okay, I've had enough. No more printing paper for you. You need so many. Like, I don't like this. I don't like that. So, can you guys guess what I've drawn right here?
I think that's Ari on his pillow, crying, or he's got a is he feverish there? No, he's dreaming about dead birds.
Oh, that's.
Oh.
Is that a bit better?
Yeah, he's lying on his pillow.
Yes.
Is that after the accident? Because of the hospital? No.
Yeah, I think so. He looks real sad. That's the main thing I see. I see that face with those eyebrows going.
And the thermometer, is that thermometer sticking out of his mouth?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That could also be, I think this is actually his flu beforehand. Or I guess we could interpret it either way, but if that's a thermometer, then this is his feverish state before the accident. And then the birds.
The two
maybe,
boys?
Mm-hmm. The birds may be prescient too. And then, yeah, there they are in front of the car. And that's when like Dante's they're about to get hit, right? I think.
Are you foreshadowing?
Yeah. And then those, yeah, I think it's showing multiple time frames at once. That's my hypothesis.
You guys are all correct. So yeah, I kind of like picked a couple of scenes that kind of like stood out to me throughout reading. So that is Ari laying down, and that's his time going through the flu, where he was having those dreams about the sparrows falling from the sky. they don't look like they're falling from the sky, but I tried. I tried to draw stuff that
I
was
see their wings like that. So
That
why
is
did
like-
you choose those scenes, Suwato? Sorry if I
kind of
interrupted.
like
but
stood out to me. So
Yeah.
I kind of like have a couple of notes here that I wrote.
Okay.
So basically, Ari's dreams are a main example of symbolism.
Mhm.
In this part, he's dreaming about sparrows falling from the sky, and that is like a representation of loss of hope and innocence. That's what I kind of got. And you can see that when Dante kind of announces that he's moving to Chicago, right, for the school year or academic year. As we move on to the car accidents, we have the sparrows that kind of move along into that scene too. Dante is saving a sparrow and a car accident happens. And automatically Ari saves Dante, although I think like he thinks that he's dreaming or like he doesn't think it's real. He kind of like hears Dante. I think. Right? When the car accident happened.
Yeah, he's like, this isn't real. And I think I can probably find it. What we don't get is any play-by-play of what actually happened. We do not get any statement of like, I jumped in front of the car.
Right. Just kind of like
Doesn't
happened.
remember. Isn't
Yeah.
part of it is that he doesn't remember?
Doesn't
Yeah, he
remember.
doesn't remember it until somebody tells him.
Right. So I kind of said that with that, it shows his loyalty towards Dante and how protective he's towards him. Although he doesn't necessarily show that, he still saves his life, right? And it's so hard to kind of get that breakthrough from Ari because he doesn't show any emotions whatsoever.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lucy.
That was it. I was just saying like, yeah. No, I was actually looking for the place where the accident actually happens.
Okay.
So that I could just read it out for anybody's like reference or thoughts.
Okay. Let me know when you find it. And then the hospital scene.
I found it.
Oh, found it. Awesome.
Can I
Go
read
ahead.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Look, he pointed at a bird in the middle of the street that was trying to fly. I could tell that one of his wings was broken. He's going to die, I whispered. We can save it. Dante walked into the middle of the street and tried to pick up the bird. I watched him as he picked up the frightened bird. That's the last thing I remember before the car swerved around the corner. Dante, Dante! I knew the screams were coming from inside me. Dante! I remember thinking that it was all a dream, all of it. It was just another bad dream. I kept thinking that the world was ending. I thought about the sparrows falling from the sky. Dante. Okay, that's it, page 107.
Right. So yeah, that's why I kind of like chose that scene as well, because it's like everything kind of like revolves around this dream that he thinks he's having, right? And it holds a significant thing. It's like, okay, he dreams about these sparrows falling from the sky, and then moving on to the car accident, it's like, oh, he's dreaming about this, right? Like he's not dreaming about it, but he thinks he's dreaming. He thinks it's a dream. And then when you go to like the hospital scene, everyone seems to be crying, right? And he is anti-emotions. He does not like people crying. So he keeps telling his mom, like, stop crying. Everything's okay. Stop crying. And I wrote, Ari usually has a general discomfort when it comes to the displays of emotions. He struggles to express himself and also struggles to receive love and affection. And in that scene, he kind of like starts, he like closes his eyes every time he tries to picture something, especially when it comes to his brother. So the main thing I got from this is that these dreams and him closing his eyes mean a lot more than what we can see and read from. And I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, although I said it's like a symbolism of like a loss of hope and innocence, there's so much more to it. It's like, okay, he keeps going back to this, like, okay, this is a dream, it's a bad dream. And it starts off with that. It's a dream. I think it's a dream. It doesn't feel real. All right, let me close my eyes. I feel better that way. Oh, I see my brother, or, you know, so I think there's like a message behind his dreams and him closing his eyes and just shutting off the world. There's like a bigger message.
I think that's a really good thought. And definitely the dreams, because he's having these dreams about the sparrows before the accident happens. So to me, that's like, okay, this is a prescient dream, right? Like this is actually like a prophetic dream, like as we find out later, I think. I will share one of the questions that I wrote because I think it has to do with what you're talking about, Suato. It's one theme that continues to show up is unwillingness or is willingness or unwillingness to look at what's happening. Whether it's Ari looking at his own anger, which is page 148 or 149, he says, I don't want to look at it, don't want to look at it. At Dante or Dante's sketches, Ari's parents' willingness to acknowledge Ari's brother, or Ari's father's willingness to acknowledge or examine his own experiences in the war. Do you think these issues are related? How? And is it okay? When is it okay to decide not to look at something? So there's a lot of embedded questions in there, but I'm just sort of like, yeah, what are you guys thinking of like this whole like I'm not looking thing? Because I think you're right, Suato. There's something about him shutting things out. I'm not looking. This is a dream, and other people around him too.
I think there's some fear of, hiding your emotions or hiding, or maybe even some shame around what's going on. I mean, and I'm thinking of like Ari's parents with not wanting to talk about their brother. They know that he knows his brother's in prison. He doesn't know why, so it's kind of like this big mystery. And I think a lot of that has to do with some shame that the family's feeling because, as a parent, you feel responsible for your child. You feel, for your child's actions. And so whatever has basically gotten him into prison, has brought shame onto the family. So it's hard for them to talk about. And the one thing they do have affection for Ari. I know he doesn't feel it. He feels like,
Bless you.
distance, but his father, you can feel his father having pain for his son, feeling sympathy. It may not be the way he expects or wants to be loved, but there is love there.
Oh, so why do I think you're on mute? There you are. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, you can sense that, especially like when he's going through his like the first scene when he's sick, right, in the bed. And then even in the hospital, wants to read. I think that was in the hospital, right? When he wants to read with him, or is that when he went home?
I think his dad went with him in the hospital.
A little bit of affection, like, or just the fact that his dad is like, he notices his dad looking at him a lot. And he's sort of saying like, I kind of wish he'd go away, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Although in the beginning, that's all he wanted.
Right. Notice.
Dante's father was doing,
Right.
And what do you guys think about that? Like that part of the hospital scene of Dante's father giving Ari a kiss.
I need to look back at it. I want to see how Dante reacts to it because that's what is usually interesting to me. Is like, how's Dante gonna, or sorry, Ari, how's Ari going to respond to this? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I don't remember where it is. But I mean, if his dad kissed him, I'm sure that was surprising.
Was that in the hospital or after he went home?
I think it was in the hospital when Dante's mom and dad both came, but Dante was like, I don't think he was there. It was just his mom and dad that came to visit. And they were like, I think Dante's mom was given that advice of like going to see a counselor or like a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
That scene, I don't remember. Oh, it's on page 123 if you have.
Okay.
Do you guys want me to read it?
Yes.
Sure.
Says Mr. Quintana came right up to me and kissed me on the cheek, just like it was this normal thing to do. I guess for him, it was normal. And really, I thought that the gesture was kind of nice, sweet, but it made me a little bit uncomfortable. It wasn't something I wasn't, it was something I wasn't used to. And he kept thanking me over and over.
Oh, it wasn't, I thought you were talking about Ari's dad. It was Dante's dad who kissed him. Okay.
Yeah, his dad.
Okay.
Because like he in the beginning, like the first couple of chapters, he liked that, right? Like he wanted somebody to do that to him, especially his father. But now he's just kind of like, okay, it made me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A stranger. I mean, not a stranger. It's not his dad. It's someone who's not related. So he probably, yeah. It's a very intimate act. So he probably was surprised by that. Not intimate sexual, but he's not,
Yeah. I also
Maybe like the love he feels for Dante and like the romantic kind of love he's like realizing is like turning that love into resentment because he's confused about it. And that's why everything is like doing a 180. He wanted that affection, but now he hates it. Like he loved Dante, but now he's actively avoiding everything to do with him.
I kind of was thinking that too, Joshua. It's like there is an element of like yeah, he's a stranger and like that's sort of weird, right? Or not a stranger, but he's less known, but also like these are the kinds of things that in a way he has been hoping for from people, or at least from his own parents, and then when they show up for him in some form, he's kind of like rejecting them now, right?
Well,
Like
I think what makes him uncomfortable about the fact that he saved Dante's life, it's kind of, the reaction was because of how he felt about Dante. He basically leapt up, and so maybe there's a sense that people will see he's still trying to figure this all out, but maybe people will see into that.
yeah, it could be right.
He's not ready. He's not comfortable. He's still figuring out how he feels about Dante. He's trying to give that a name, so to speak. So he's not comfortable with that yet. And he doesn't want to be like, how should I phrase it? But he's definitely uncomfortable being the center of attention.
I wonder if like, and this is sort of going off what you're saying, Narita, I think it's almost like I wonder if he feels like this whole situation is like outing him, or if not outing him, it's like the whole circumstance might be shedding light on something that he just like is unwilling to go to. And it's like, if he is nervous about how he feels about Dante and what that means, then on some level, when people say like, wow, you saved Dante, what he might be hearing is like, you really love Dante, and he might not be ready to look at that himself. And if that's the case, then I can see,
I think he's still trying to figure all that out himself right now.
Yeah. And so hearing it echo in other people, or something like that echo in other people, may be very uncomfortable for him.
I think the part where you really feel that discomfort was after Dante gives him the sponge bath. And he's got his eyes closed, and then he opens them. He said Dante had this look on his face. He looked like an angel, and all I wanted to do was put my fist through his jaw. I couldn't stand my own cruelty. So he's attracted, but at the same time he's almost repulsed by that attraction at this point. Like he's still trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, Josh, what did you have? What was your part?
My part was the connections, and then I pretty much just talked about my own experiences with coming out and how it relates to Aristotle. But then I also kind of just briefly mentioned like a text to text. So him going through the journals and like writing it and everything, it kind of reminded me of Perks of Being a Wallflower, and how that was all journal based. And it was also kind of a story of figuring out your own identity. And so I just kept thinking that in the back of my mind as I was reading it as well. Those are the only two things that I really spoke about.
Okay.
Then we went more in depth in the identity thing already, so we covered that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Narita, I know you wrote some questions. I also have some more questions I could throw out to the group.
Go ahead. I think I went through all my questions.
Sure. So, okay, I asked, describe your reaction to Mrs. Quintana's profession to Ari, Aristotle Mendoza, I will love you forever. When she holds his face in her hands and says that to him and looks deep in his eyes. I guess, like, what do you guys think of that? I thought that was a very interesting moment.
Wait, one more time?
So it's on page, let me look. Page 126. She just like takes him, before she left, Mrs. Quintana took my face between her two hands, looked right into my eyes and whispered, Aristotle Mendoza, I will love you forever. Her voice was soft and sure and fierce, and there weren't any tears in her eyes. Her words were serene and sober, and she looked right at me because she wanted me to know that she meant every word of what she'd said to me. This is what I understood. A woman like Mrs. Quintana didn't use the word love very often. When she said that word, she meant it. And one more thing I understood. Dante's mother loved him more than he would ever know. I didn't know what to do with that piece of information, so I just kept it inside. That's what I did with everything. Kept it inside. It may not have been a striking passage for everybody, but it was a striking passage for me, I guess. But if you have any thoughts on it, please share.
Yeah, I remember that passage too. She's showing great gratitude for someone saving her son's life.
Yeah, because it's like their only son, right? Their only child.
Yes.
What do you think of it, Joshua? Did you have a thought, or was it kind of like, meh?
I didn't pay much attention to that passage, to be honest with you. I just thought it was mainly just her showing her gratitude.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't read much into it.
Yeah. Here's another question. Is Ari a hero? Do you think he's a hero?
If someone had saved my son's or daughter's life like that, I would consider them a hero. But he may not be
for sure.
in that.
I think he doesn't see himself as a hero because he didn't do it intentionally. It just kind of like that fight or flight response came, and he doesn't remember it. And I think he's also just really angry that he did this wonderful thing, but he ended up breaking himself in the process. Mm-hmm. And so he's just like shows another reason why he might show resentment. He does show resentment to Dante because he did save his life, but he also almost ruined his in the process.
What do you think?
Dante was also injured, though. He had a not to the extent of Ari, but
yeah, I know.
Sue, did you what do you think of like?
I would agree with everyone. I would agree with everyone. And then also, like, I feel like someone is a hero more so when they say they're not a hero after saving someone's life, you know? Because to me, like, I know he doesn't want to call himself a hero for other reasons, but like I feel like it just shows the humbleness, although that's what he was going for.
Right, like I'm kind of split there too, Sue. Like it's sort of like, yeah, usually when people say no, I'm not, like we're like, oh, you're really a hero, but his denial is not coming from a place of humility. It's coming from like this other that I'm seeing. Yeah. And then I'm interested in how, I guess it's just interesting how a lot of these things seem to like converge on him at once, because it's like the you're a hero thing. So you're in the spotlight, and also you're injured and you're way more helpless than you're used to being, or than you're like willing to be. And it's like all at once. It's like, are you okay? And you're a hero and you saved Dante. And it's like, I think these are like multiple areas hitting like multiple nerves for him at one time, which just seems really interesting.
What do we think about his father offering to get him a car towards the end of this section?
I sort of read that as like, maybe unless we find out later that they have some other motive, like, you know, we need someone to run errands for us or something. But like, I took that as a little bit of a, at least how I'm reading it as of now, and that could change as I go on, but I'm taking it as a little bit of a concession to the new boundaries that he's drawing, maybe, and saying like, okay, like, you did go through that, like you clearly are able to take a hit, literally. Like, and if you think about what the doctor said too, that like his odds were very low of like, you know, recovering the way he did and everything. Like, I took it as like some kind of acknowledgement of like, yeah, you have stepped into a new onto a new level of your development, I guess.
Yeah, like emotional maturity type of thing. Like he trusts him.
Yeah, just like, if you know, like, I see how you don't want us to be hovering, and how you have expressed a desire to be alone. You're clearly a very capable young man in a certain sense, and so you deserve a car. Something like that. Yeah.
I
Kind of saw it as like just his dad, not guilty, but like just, you know, you almost died, so like let me do something really nice for you, kind of a thing.
I agree. And then I also thought like it was a way to get his mind off of him asking the question of his brother.
True. I almost want
Very
him
true.
to like go visit his brother himself. Like
Carol,
that's
here's
kind
the
of,
car.
that's kind of
Stop
what
asking about him. Bernardo, no.
It's like, oh, all right, let me just log. I know they didn't have GPS yet, or not on like a phone, but it's sort of like, okay, so where's the prison?
No, it was 87. I can tell you, we did not have GPS back then.
Yeah.
We barely had cell phones. We had.
I remember the earliest cell phone I can remember was in my second grade. When I was in second grade, my mom got like a Cricket phone. It's like, this thing is ridiculous. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. That's I'd be interested to see where the whole car thing goes, and especially, not that this is intentional. I'm not going to read a ton into it, but it's like the car was also what brought about the entire accident. And it's like, okay, well, you can handle cars, so you can.
Full circle. Do we need to talk about what our project is and what our group presentation is as we start thinking about this? I know we don't have Juliana here today, but I know that the professor had said that she thought we should use this extra time to sort of start mapping that out a little.
I have not had the chance to look over that stuff yet. And I feel like it would be beneficial to have all of us here at the same time when we speak about it.
That's true.
Okay. Because I think this is due
April, I think. Right?
Is it?
I don't remember.
Okay. Let me look it up.
While you're
like
looking
it's in
at it, I'll just
March.
tell you guys.
22nd, maybe? I think that date.
The
Or are we
second
supposed to be
Friday.
finished by it on the 22nd?
Can I just briefly share why I thought the quote from Miss Quintana was like striking? I guess I just like, it's because when she said that, like, it was, I think it lacked a lot of like the sap that a lot of other people's like approaches did, and B, I felt like it was also, I felt like it was also about just like being somebody who was a close friend to Dante, and like the role that he was playing in Dante's life more generally, because I think they also said that Dante himself didn't have a lot of friends. And yeah, I don't know. So I found it interesting that, and she said his name. So the way that it registered with me was like, no, you, not just what you did, but like you and who you are for my son is a big deal. And so, yeah, I don't know. I found that really, really interesting. Anyway.
So it's due March 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not next, it's this month in like 3 weeks.
But there's no rubric or anything attached to it. So I'm just, is it filling out all 5 of the roll
No.
sheets and then submitting those? Or what is
No,
it?
we have a presentation to do, and we also have to do a trailer for the book. That much I
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that's not something we can just throw together. I mean,
Yeah.
Let me log in. Okay, I'm logging into our Blackboard to see exactly what this is.
Okay, yeah. So record a 2 to 4 minute trailer or self-selected technology-based artifact on the book. Implement a 15 to 20 minute segment of the lesson plan and not a summary of the lesson. The segment would include blah, 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 blah. You're required to turn in an electronic copy of the lesson plan, 1 per group. So we make a lesson plan.
Okay.
Okay, so do we know what grade? Do we have an opinion in terms of what age level this would be good for? It says ages 12 and up on the back cover.
I would say like 9th or 10th grade, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking 10th grade could be good.
Yeah, 9th or 10th grade. I agree. I agree with you, Josh, on that.
Probably 10th grade.
Yeah, I would agree, just because like some of the like sexual themes, I guess
Yeah, and it's so easy to read, so it's like definitely younger.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you guys want to use the rubric that we have that she gave us for our own personal lesson plans? Because that's what I've been using when I build my unit plan.
I think probably we should at least start with that.
She
Or
doesn't
what is
have
it,
a
the one
rubric.
that-
She doesn't have a rubric in the assignment section of this. No,
Mm-mm.
no, she doesn't.
The only thing that like tells us the task is the syllabus, and it's not very detailed.
I could just email it on our behalf and ask her and just say, like, in terms of making sure we check all the boxes, like, is the syllabus, do you think the syllabus is sufficient, or should we be using the rubric that you gave us for our individual lesson plans?
Oh, the one thing we definitely need to do, if we're going to create a lesson plan, is we've agreed it's on 10th grade, we should probably look at the standards for that 10th grade and see how this text can support one of the standards. Because the lesson plan needs to support a standard.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's before, during, and after activities.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just saying a segment of a lesson plan.
Yeah, because we only have 15 or 20
It
minutes.
should include a instructional or writing activity or
Sorry.
a formative assessment.
And she talked
So we have
about
to decide if we want to do an instructional strategy, like what we're doing now, a writing or a formal assessment kind of a thing as well.
She also said that we could have the class send them the segment to read ahead of time.
Okay.
So, as we are reading this book, I would say next week, we should come up with what we think is the text that we want them to read. We should also think about how we're going to do this trailer. Does anyone have any special skills
There are websites in the syllabus that we can use.
Okay, and also I have a Canva subscription, so if someone wants to, like, if you guys want to borrow my credentials, I'll like,
I have Canva too.
and like, yeah, okay, cool. So we have that as an option. Like, what I did for the digital jumpstart, and it wasn't like that sophisticated, but it could be a place to think about, is I just literally like got on Zoom and shared my screen, and then went through like Google Slides, and we could do that with Canva. The only problem with Zoom is that you can't really edit. So
What's
if we wanted to like edit our trailer, we would kind of have to like do that in like one take, which might be like not
Yeah.
the best.
What's the digital jumpstart again? Is that our next?
Oh, so sorry. That's I'm assuming that everyone is in the literacy and content areas class, but that's not.
No, I took that last semester.
Okay. Okay. So I had to like we had to record something. So.
It's just like introducing a novel or a new text with like background information and like key points, themes,
Yeah.
vocab words. Very basic.
Yeah,
very short.
that was pretty. He literally said, "Don't be fancy."
Like I literally just made a PowerPoint and it had like 5 slides.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. And then I just like shared a Zoom screen and was like, okay, I'll just.
I didn't even go through it. I just submitted the PowerPoint.
Yeah. I'm just looking through the stuff. Okay. There we go.
Is there anything else we should discuss today, or do you think we should hold off talking about it more until we have Juliana?
I think we should probably brief at least, well, Juliana, I'm still recording this.
Sure.
We should probably at least recap with her and tell her that we need to at least come next week prepared to think about what standards we want to address and start thinking about the text that could address that standard.
And like, do you mean like an
Section of
excerpt
text.
that we would use from this book?
Yeah.
I'm just
Or you know, I mean, we could also, depending on the lesson we choose, okay, we could do an introductory, and I have to go back to look at the syllabus to see if this even works. You know, I know that, for example, what I'm doing for my unit plan, Stranger in a Strange Land, about immigration, you know, my unit plan, my intro lesson plan is going to include a TED talk to introduce the whole concept of immigration from the perspective of a refugee, but not a refugee traveling to this country, a refugee traveling from South Korea over to China.
okay.
So that could be, we could do that as a section of our segment to prepare for this text, is sort of like an introduction to this issue or to the topic.
Okay.
That's just one example if we don't want to give them a section of the book to read.
Sure. And it looks like, I mean, it says in here, it says the lesson, blah, blah, blah. The lesson is not related to your unit plan lessons. It is derived from your chapters of your choice text. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's actually assumed that we are giving them some excerpt to read from this text.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Cool. So maybe what we do is we think about like what excerpt we think might be good for the class, what themes or theme we might be interested in addressing, and then like a standard. And we can like kind of look in that direction. And I think Stranger in a Strange Land could be good at Narita, except that I know that she wanted to like, I just like from your perspective, I don't know if she's gonna like be okay with using the same theme twice.
No, I'm not saying, I wasn't saying that. I was using that as an example.
Okay.
I wasn't
I
saying.
was like, I don't know if she's gonna be okay with that, but I mean, it's a good theme. Okay. Yeah. So
I was
yeah,
using an example of how I'm going to structure my first lesson.
Sure,
We wanted to.
So I mean, I think something that could be like, if we want just like, and we may not, but if we want low-hanging fruit in terms of like what are some things that we're seeing in here? One of them is like self-examination. And like, because that's something that seems to be a running thread through like a lot of these chapters. So that would be like a place that we could start if you know, it's a suggestion. But if you guys have other like another theme that you might want to look at, like we could to drive.
So are we just thinking like maybe 2 to 4 chapters?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
because they're
For
so
one
short.
lesson?
yeah.
For one,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I guess that's right. I'm gonna at least see what the standards say.
I mean, the other thing to think about too is that like, because this is English, like we'll probably hit a bunch of them. And what we might do is plan what we have and then decide which one we're going to explicitly hit and assess.
Okay.
Because we'll probably like hit a bunch of them naturally anyway.
I know I have the standards. Oh, here it is. Okay. Here we go. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Okay.
Let me give you the.
Thank you. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go to. Just go.
I have the PDF saved. I can send it to everyone in the email that we have.
That sounds good. I just thought if we could just go over it really quickly. Let me just. Yeah, it's probably best. This is being too slow. I'm really sorry. I don't mean to like
Sure.
take up your time or
You're
anything.
fine.
I mean, you want me to just pull up where they have like the standards and the benchmarks?
Yeah, let me just hear. Oh, here
Sure.
it is.
I have,
This is what was happening.
okay. I have
my
them,
mouse-
oh, that thing, yeah, that's,
This is a,
good.
here we go.
I actually pulled these up the other day because I used The Hobbit for an assignment, and I was like, I don't think my students
The grade 10. So among the
Lucy, what's your last name?
Graham, Graham, and also I'm just gonna copy and paste a link into the chat because that's I found the link to the website where it has it. So if anyone wants to do it that way too.
So I did pull up the standard here.
Okay, thanks for sending it, Joshua. It looked, yeah, communicate.
Yeah,
speaking
Narita.
on the-
Narita, what's your email?
It's NTORRIEN at masonlive.gmu.edu.
NTORRIEN.
Yes, N as in Nancy, TORRIEN.
Okay.
So, we need to decide whether we want to teach a communication multimodal literacy standard or reading or writing standard.
I'm looking at them. I think the one that has the most like potential would be 10.4 or something under 10.4. I'll give you guys a second to like look. That's the one that's kind of calling out to me.
Interpret the cultural social function of world and ethnic literature. Analyze universal themes prevalent in literature of different cultures. The student will read, comprehend, and analyze literary texts of different cultures and era. Is that the one you're talking about?
I'm finding the one that just says the student will read, comprehend, and analyze literary texts of different cultures and eras, identify main and supporting ideas, make predictions, draw inferences, and connect prior knowledge to support reading comprehension, explain similarities and
I
differences.
agree.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
That would be
Cool.
And the one thing is we probably just need one, because of the lesson, we just need one.
Yeah.
Of those items.
And I would say, like, the way I would advocate for approaching it would be like, see what we come up with and then decide which one we're going to choose. Because I feel like we're going to hit a bunch of them anyway, because that's how English is. And so then we can just like decide where our list, like what our goals are going to be and what we're going to do, and then pick which standard we want to like explicitly evaluate or explicitly assess.
So we need to use like a backward design to determine what it is we want them to know or comprehend at the end of this lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So. Another one would be good. Evaluate how an author's specific word choices, syntax, tone, and voice shape the intended meaning of the text.
That could be a good one because, like, it's certainly the text certainly like lends itself to that.
I think it does.
Really interesting word choice. The other one could be how rhymes sound and imagery, especially imagery. Imagery is big in this book. Convey a message and elicit readers' emotions. That would be benchmark K. Also, no, that's about a play.
F would be good too. Critique how authors use key literary elements to contribute to meaning, including character development, theme, conflict, and archetypes.
Yeah, that could be good because there's a lot of that in here too.
So so depending on which one of these we pick will depend on which section of this book really captures that and is rich in those examples.
Right. And so we could have like a few candidate ones that we're looking at, and then whichever section we choose, we can kind of look back and say like, oh, I think this hits.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we each look at one of these standards under 10.4
Yeah.
and determine which we think and find the text that might align with that. And we can ask
Okay.
Juliana to do the same thing
Sure.
for next week. And we can discuss which one makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. So I'll write down standard 10.4.
Under reading, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think I'm looking with the version I'm looking at is slightly different. Mine is like a 2010 version.
Mine's 2017.
Okay. So yeah, if you, and Josh, you emailed that, right?
Mine is 2010.
Okay.
Mine's 20. Why did I?
It's I got this one off of the
The
DOE.
website. Yeah,
website.
me too. I'm on the VDOE, and that's the one that I like linked in the chat.
No, the latest one that I have is January 2017. English Standards for Virginia Public Schools. Why didn't I send this version?
Where did you get that?
When did I get that? I got that actually from Professor. Excuse me? Oh, I've had this.
Where?
I don't remember what site I got it, but Professor Iwade sent this for her lesson, not for this class. I had her for Methods 1 last year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can send that one.
Okay. All right, I'll send this one because it's more current.
Sure, and we can, if you want to share it on like the place where we are sharing our like roles, you could do that too, if that's easy.
Where are we sharing our
Oh, like when Josh invited us to like share on Google Drive the Lit Circle roles.
Google Drive.
There's like our emails are all like clustered there. And I actually uploaded my discussion questions. So in case anyone wants to look, they're uploaded there too. So basically just search your email from something from Joshua and you'll find the invitation.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. So my Gmail.
Or the email that Lucy sent us today.
Yeah, I actually
her Google
shared
document.
my role sheet in an email.
Okay.
Because I would prefer it going to my GMU account over my
Sure.
Gmail account.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that too. All right, I'll just respond to the Gmail then.
And then Sue, if you don't get it like you didn't last time, then I'll forward it to you as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if there's nothing else we can talk about today, I'm going to go ahead and go.
Okay.
All
Good
right.
job, everybody.
All right, let me stop
Yay.
recording.
Nice work on the Lit Circle.
Stop share.
Lucy, you said you're going to email Juliana?
Oh, I can.